we're going to be hanging out tonight for New Year's Eve, secular New Year's Eve. Now, there's also another calendar called the New Luciferian Era calendar. And this is something that you will have heard of if you are familiar with my content at all. And it began on December 21st, the winter solstice of 2012. And that was the beginning of year zero of the new Luciferian era. And the winter solstice that just passed, like about a week ago, just over a week ago, was the beginning of year 13 of the new Luciferian era. So we are currently in year 13 NLE, or new Luciferian era. And but tonight is also secular New Year's Eve. And traditionally, this is when people set expectations for themselves, resolutions, goals, etc. Here, let me just adjust this a little bit. Yeah, there. That's good. All right. And so I kind of wanted to talk about my plans for the upcoming year, for year 13, the current year, technically. Um, in particular, what I want to accomplish with the Novus Ordo Luciferi, which is an esoteric order, a Gnostic Luciferian esoteric order that teaches Luciferian alchemy to its members. But, we can just hang out as well. So I'm glad that you're here with me tonight and we can celebrate secular New Year's together. Oh, hi, Wraith. Happy New Year's, brother. Sharing the session. Oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah, so actually, just before I started this live stream tonight, I actually went live for about 5 minutes or so on Facebook just to kind of let people know that I'm going to be doing a live stream. And that's something that I think I'll try doing a bunch of times and seeing if it helps raise some awareness that I'm about to do a live stream, and maybe we'll get a bigger crowd hanging out together here on YouTube. Um, but what I did was I did a divination using the I Ching, and I'll show you here the one that I'm using. It's by the translation by Benabel Wen. And if you haven't checked out her YouTube channel, you definitely should. And also, this book is amazing. I've got the hardcover. I don't know if you can get it not hardcover, but it's over 900 pages, and it's got a massive amount of information about esoteric Taoism, as well as the translation of the I Ching itself. And I did a quick bibliomancy reading for the upcoming year, for year 13, which is our current year in the new Luciferian era calendar, or you could think of it as a reading for the secular new year for 2026. And what I came up with was hexagram 16, which is enthusiasm, which I thought was an excellent and auspicious reading. And I wanted to share that with you here. And so I'm going to read that out to you as well. The oracle portion of that hexagram. And here I'll show you what the hexagram looks like. Hexagram 16, enthusiasm, and it is the thunder trigram above the earth trigram. And the oracle states, action with enthusiasm, renounce hesitation, do not let chronic conditions hold you back, prepare for the advance. Demonstrate enthusiasm, and you motivate not just yourself, but also the spirit realms to support you. Honor others with enthusiasm, and they will reciprocate. Let the energy of life invigorate you so you can invigorate others. Know your purpose and reason for action, and you will never cease to take action. When you are relentless with your drive, nothing can or will stop you. So I thought that was pretty amazing, and it actually fits quite in line with the feeling that I've got, the vibe that I have going into year 13 of the new Luciferian era, or the secular year 2026. Does that resonate with anybody else who's watching right now? Or if you're watching this later on as an archive video, if you're watching this later, leave a comment in the to the video. But if you're here live with me now, I'd also like to hear, did that resonate with anybody? Do you get that sense of truth being spoken there? Because I definitely do. I really feel that. And that's why I wanted to share that with you. And I thought that it would be fun to do another divination as well, not just to do one live as well. Like I did it live on Facebook, that bibliomancy where I derived the 16th hexagram, but and I wanted to share it with you, which I just did. But also, let's do another one. Let's see what we get with the tarot. I'm gonna pull one card out of the. I brought my Thoth deck to this, and so let's see what we get. And this is also a reading for the upcoming year, for the year that we are just embarking on now. So let's see. I'm gonna shuffle and see what we get. And a card particularly jumped out at me, and so sometimes when a card jumps out at me, I like to use that card. And the card that jumped out at me here while I was shuffling is the Chariot. And the Chariot is the card that's associated with the zodiac sign of Cancer. So that is a water sign, and the um, traditional meaning of the Chariot card is to overcome, to overcome a challenge, to get through something. And it really complements the reading that we got with the I Ching as well. The enthusiasm. It's like, it's confirmation, I would say. Let me see. We got some. Kinjo says resonates indeed. And who else we have here? Mimi says LMAO. Awesome, just what you were talking about. Yeah, like I said, it feels like a confirmation of the previous reading that I did earlier, which just a few minutes earlier actually was the I Ching reading. And that was on Facebook. I did that on Facebook Live just literally like 5 minutes before I started this live stream. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. And I find that happens all the time. Do anybody who's here who does divination, do you find it's incredibly accurate? Like to the point where you're just constantly surprised at how accurate and appropriate whatever comes up to the question or the situation. It, I've been doing divination for pretty much my whole life. My father taught me tea leaf reading when I was just a young boy, and I picked up tarot in a serious way when I was 17 years old. I am currently 47 and I'll be 48 in less than a month. just in like a week actually. And so I've been doing tarot for over 30 years, almost, well, it'd be like, well, 31 years, I guess, where I've been doing it seriously. And it still amazes me. It still amazes me at how accurate the cards that come up happen to be. Like, really, that card, the most perfect card that could possibly come up in this situation, came up, And then you're like, okay, well, let me do it again. You know, sometimes you just decide, you know what, let's do it again and see what comes up. And it's either the same card, which that happens, or it's another card that means almost the same thing, or very, very similar energy to the original card. Um, it's just, no matter how many times that happens, and it happens like basically every time, it still amazes me at how accurate and appropriate it is. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I'm constantly amazed at how it does. Little Horn says compliments the year of the horse energy we are heading in. Yeah. So what I think, what was it? A fire horse, I believe. So in the Chinese zodiac, we are. It's not quite. We're headed, like you said there. We're heading into the year of the horse. So the Chinese New Year doesn't happen until a little bit further into the secular year. So it's like February or something like that. Usually, I can't remember exactly, but um, when that when the Chinese New Year happens, which will be about a month or so, then we will be in the year of the horse, and I believe it's a fire horse. So that's some very powerful energy. I'm not as well versed on the Chinese zodiac, but actually, for a long time, I thought that I was born in the year of the horse because growing up, we didn't really have books that were easily available on that kind of thing. Like, I lived in a small town and I'd have to go to the library to, I didn't have Google to look up things on the internet. The internet didn't really exist in the same way as it does now. And I certainly didn't have access to it. And I remember if you went to a Chinese food restaurant, they would have a placemat, a paper placemat, and on the placemat, it would tell you uh, what year was associated with what animal in the Chinese zodiac. And it always said 1978 was the year of the horse. And I didn't realize at the time when I was a kid that it wasn't exactly the same as the Gregorian calendar year, that it started a little bit further into the year when the Chinese New Year happens. And so, because I'm born in the first week of January, I always thought that I was born in the year of the horse. Until later as a teenager, I started learning a little bit more about it. And then I was like, oh, actually, it's not. I'm in the previous year. What would on that placemat would have said 1977, is would have been more accurate because it hadn't the new Chinese New Year hadn't happened yet when my birthday takes place. So I realized actually I wasn't born in the year of the horse. I was born in the year of the snake, which resonated a lot more with me, as you can probably imagine if you know anything about me. And actually, it's interesting because it was the fire snake, and going into the year of the fire horse. So each each year also has one of the five Chinese elements associated with it as well. So I believe you have um, fire, metal, wood, water, and um, I'm not sure what the other one is. Fire, water, metal, wood, and what is it, air? I'm not sure. Maybe somebody can tell me. Like I said, I'm not as well versed in the Chinese zodiac as I am in Western zodiac. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. So I actually have two children that were also born in the year of the snake, which is neat. You know that we can share that. Um, so let me see if there's any comments here. Yes, absolutely horrible. All the universe comes together like that. Horrible, horrible. I don't know why that's horrible. I think that's really cool when it happens like that. Maybe you're talking about something different. Okay, so Mimi Me says the important thing about Chinese New Year is they celebrate all of their birthdays all at once on the New Year. The entire country has the same birthday the New Year. Yeah, that's pretty common in a lot of Asian countries where they um they'll say they have their birthday. Their birthday is the day that they were born. But when you ask somebody their age, they don't really base it on the day they were born. They base it on the year they were born. So I know what you're saying there, and that's pretty common in a lot of Asian countries where they'll be like, "How old are you?" And then they'll say um, the age based on the year that they're born in, and then sometimes they'll clarify. They'll be like, "I'm turning whatever," um, 40 some, if they're going to say like 40 or something, right? Uh, they'd be like, I'm turning 40, you know, and they're like, oh, and then they'll say the year. They'll be like, oh, your year, 1990 or whatever. I'm just making up dates. But um, then sometimes if they're born in the same year, they'll be like, oh, what part of the year? Because then they're going to be determining seniority. And then they have to determine whether they're going to speak casually with one another or if they're going to, if one of them is going to treat the other as an elder or not. If they're really close within like a few months of each other, usually they'll just speak casually. But if one of them was born at the beginning of the year and the other one was born closer to the end of the year, they'd be like, oh no, that's too far. You're like almost a whole year uh, different, like younger than me. You have to speak formally to me. And that's pretty common in a lot of Asian countries. And a lot of that comes from Confucianism. So the philosophy, lifestyle, religion, it kind of defies that kind of classification. Sort of like it's sort of a religion, it's sort of a philosophy. It depends on how you view it. From Western terms or from a Western perspective, a lot of times people talk about the philosophical aspect of Confucianism or the religious aspect of Confucianism, but really it's kind of like just a way of being, a way of life, almost like a set of etiquette as well. It includes filial piety. That's like respecting your elders, respecting your ancestors, that sort of thing. And um, in a lot of Asian languages, there are different ways to address people depending on the level of formality you're going to speak with them in. And the age difference between you has a big impact on if you're going to be using formal language that with that person, or if you're just going to speak casually, or depending on how close you are as well. So if you're close friends, even if you have a couple years difference, a lot of times you'll just speak casually with one another just because you're such close friends. Um, but yeah, when you first meet somebody, a lot of times they'll be like, "How old are you?" You'll say the age that you are based on the year you were born in, not on the day of the year. And then if you are the same year, then oftentimes they'll inquire further. They'll be like, "Well, okay, well, what day or what month were you born in?" Because then they're trying to determine that hierarchy. Where are they placed in the hierarchy, and should I speak casually with you or not? So it's very common to ask your age in Asian cultures, and that's the reason, because they're not sure how to speak, whether they should speak formally with you or to speak with you as if you're an elder or not. Let's see here. Ray said, I was told 2026 will be the return of Ma Kali. Is there a way to confirm this? Um, Wait and see, I suppose. That would be the way to confirm it. You could also do a divination. You could do a divination to see whether or not that is true and see if your results match what you've been told. Don't just trust other people's prophecies and predictions. Do your own. Nocturnal Spirit 6 says, "Bro, hey, I've been meditating on Ma Kali. Crazy you mentioned." Talking to a Wraith there, I see. Um, Wraith said, "You've been feeling her energy strong lately." Nocturnal says, "Same." Little Horn says, I was making a sun oil the other day and was doing it according to a ritual. And when I finished the oil, I did a tarot reading asking to give me one sign about my sun oil, and the sun card flew out. That's really cool. You see, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. Like, how could you come up with a more perfect card to come up than the sun when you're making a sun oil and you're doing a divination about it? To me, that's confirmation that you did it properly, that you successfully produced an effective charged sun oil. Little Horn is a metal horse. Interesting. So it's the same. You're entering your year, kind of, but it'll be a different element. By the way, each of my two children that also are born in the year of the snake, just like I am, each of them is um, a different element. And by the way, we just came out of, we're not out of it yet. We are still in the year of the snake. We're not in the year of the horse yet. So we are still currently in the year of the snake, and it is wood snake. If I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the current Chinese zodiac right now is, um, well, it's the year of the snake, but I believe that the element that it's associated with right now this year is wood. So it's a wood snake right now, and we're leaving wood snake to enter into fire horse, which is interesting. And I'm going to have to do some research to look this up because I want to know a little bit more about this. Oh, me meant incredible. Uh, okay. Earlier when you said referring to the when things line up like that. Dominus here, welcome. Glad you could make it tonight. Okay, so I'm all caught up in the comments there. And what time do we have, anyways? It's 11:22 where I am right now, Eastern time. So that's a cool time. It's 11, and then double it for 22. What I wanted to talk about a little bit about here tonight is the plans that I have for the new, or sorry, the Novus Ordo Luciferi. In English, it's the New Order of Light Bearers. And what that means is that the members themselves are the light bearers. It is a Luciferian esoteric order, Gnostic Luciferian in particular, but it's not specifically dedicated to honoring or devoting oneself to an external entity with the proper name of Lucifer. Of course, you are absolutely free to do so if you desire, but that's not the intention of the order, the Novus Ordo Luciferi. The intention of the order is to facilitate the members becoming light bearers in their own right. So each of the members, oh, it's funny, I just hear some fireworks going off right now, just as I'm saying that. So each member of the order is seeking to become a light bearer in their own unique way. And one of the things that I like to talk about is the light bearer archetype. The light bearer archetype can be seen in a lot of different myths from a lot of different cultures, past and present. And one of the most pure examples of the light bearer archetype that I've been able to identify has to be hands down Prometheus. So Prometheus sees potential in the creature called human, that in most of the stories, Prometheus was actually the one to create humans. Oh, somebody's suggesting I do a state test. Yeah, okay. And if you're not aware of what that means, it means to check to see what state you're in. And because the thing is, at any given time, when you are having an experience, it's very possible that you could be having the asleep dreaming experience, what I like to refer to as a lunar dream. And that's basically when you're asleep and you're having a dream. It could also be during an astral projection, but most of the time, if you're not aware of it, it's because you fell asleep and you're having a dream, a non lucid dream. And to do a state test, there are different things you can do that will give you an idea of what state you're in, what type of experience you're having. If you're having the so called waking experience, then you won't be able to do certain things, or you'll be able to do them better because there are some subtle differences between the waking experience and the asleep dreaming experience. So, for example, if you plug your nose and close your mouth and try and breathe, often in a if in a sleep dreaming experience, when you are asleep and dreaming, If you try this, you'll actually be able to breathe, even though your nose is plugged and your mouth is closed. Somehow you can still breathe. So let me give it a try. I'll do that as the state test. I can't do it. So to me, that indicates that I'm probably not asleep, that I'm probably awake, having the waking experience, which is also a type of dream. I like to refer to it as the solar dream. And if you want to learn more about that, you can actually take a course. It's called the Lucid Dreaming course, but it goes a lot more beyond just lucid dreaming. It gets into lucid waking, it gets into um, conscious experience of the non experiential realm. It's not even a realm, but I like to refer to it as the void, where experience is not being generated. And that's a very advanced practice. But this course actually goes from very beginner level all the way up to some of the most advanced material that you're probably going to ever find on lucid dreaming, astral projection, consciousness in the void, and gives some unique language that I've developed in order to try and convey some of these more abstract and advanced concepts, such as, like I was saying, lunar dream, solar dream, state testing, um, the void, and we get into this. And there is actually a prequel, or it's not exactly prerequisite because you can skip it if you want. It's highly recommended. There's a course on improving dream recall that it's like a workshop, and I would recommend taking that first and then taking the 4 week lucid dreaming course. And each of those are about 2 hours. So, altogether, if you include the improving dream recall course or workshop, it works out to about 10 hours of video lessons. And you can take those lessons on the Novus Ordo Luciferi website, and you can get access to the entire catalog of courses, not just the lucid dreaming courses, but we have one on tarot, one on I Ching. We have um, a walkthrough of an energy work practice, an inner alchemy, a Luciferian inner alchemy energy work practice called Stoking the Black Flame, which I developed. And I do a complete walkthrough of that. It's like an hour and a half or 2 hours that I go really in depth because I do some um, additional prep work before doing that main practice as well. But I go really in depth and do complete walkthrough of that, and do it live for on the video, which was recorded, but it was initially taught live to members who attended that live lesson, and then it was recorded and it got turned into a course. So there are, I believe, 13 courses currently available on the Novus Ordo Luciferi website. And actually, there's a link in the description of this video to that course catalog. So there's 13 courses, which is kind of interesting. We entered into the year 13 and we had 13 courses going into it. By the end of this year, by year 14, I hope to have uh, many more courses added to that, which again will be taught live to members of the order and recorded and then turned into courses that people can take at their own time. If they weren't able to attend it live, they can still take the course in their own time later. Or if they were able to attend live, they can go back and review the material and watch it again. Because sometimes you don't catch things right away the first go through. But anyways, you can get access to the entire course catalog for the Novus Ordo Luciferi on the NOL website, which is just novusordoluciferi.org. And like I said, the link is in the description of this video. Um, just $5 USD will get you unlimited access to all of the courses, not just one, not just one or two that you select. The entire course catalog you'll get access to for the whole month. And I hope you'll, if you decide to join and participate in the order, not only will you get access to those courses, but you'll get access to the community. So, for example, after this live stream is over, once I finish this public live stream, there will be a private NOL members hangout that follows. So, anybody who is an active member of the Novus Ordo Luciferi, and we have a lot of members now. It's been running for about 2 years, and we have members all over the world in at least a dozen countries. You know, at least a dozen countries. I kind of lost track of exactly how many, but we have a lot of members, and we're starting to establish local branches as well of the order in different places around the world. So you'll get access to the community, which is on Patreon, as well as we have a private Discord server for members of the Novus Ordo Luciferi, and that Discord is the main communications hub that we have between members, so that people can interact with one another. We have a regular weekly members meeting every Thursday evening at what is it, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and it usually goes for 2 or more hours. Sometimes, if there isn't very many people, sometimes it'll close a little earlier, but usually it goes for about 2 hours on average, from 7 to 9 or so, and that's every single Thursday, and it happens in the Discord server. And then we also have um, sporadic, as often as I can do them. Like tonight, there's going to be one that are held using a video conferencing software. And you'll get the link to the meeting if you join the Patreon, which is the way that members pay their monthly membership dues, which again is only $5 American per month to participate. You get access to the entire course catalog, unlimited, all the courses you get access to, not just one or two. And you get access to all of the written documents, which include teachings and practices. We have rituals, mental discipline practices, energy work, all that good stuff. um, Tarot related material. Can learn in depth the new Luciferian era calendar and the meaning behind that, how it works, how we track different natural cycles using that calendar. Um, yeah, so it's incredible, incredible value for $5 American per month to be part of all that. And if you want to join the meeting tonight, you can sign up on the NOL website via the Patreon. And if you go to the Patreon page, the most recent post on there right now has a link to that meeting that we're going to have tonight after this live stream's over. But yeah, if you wanted to get really in depth about lucid dreaming, Domina, you said that you are um, reading the lucid dreaming book I recommended. There's three in particular, and I'll do a video on it where I talk about the three books that I recommend if you're really serious about lucid dreaming, and the order that you should read them in. But I'll do a video about that. I'll try and do it soon, or maybe a live stream. Ray said this is interesting because I've been caught in between sleep and being awake. I usually have to sit still for a few minutes to collect my thoughts in the dream experience. Wraith is going to join the Discord. Cool. And if you wanted to join, there's a public Discord, which is not it's not just for members of the order, but anybody who's part of the Luciferian community or is on an adjacent path, um, or is part of the left hand path, or if you are involved in Thelema or anything even close, um, or if you're just interested in learning more about Luciferianism, there is a public Discord server that is completely free to join, and it is called the Luciferian Research Society. Now, that Luciferian Research Society, or LRS, is a community hub that I founded back in September of 2009, so over 16 years ago. And we did have a website, which was basically like a social media platform, a closed social media platform just for people like us, a gated community, if you will. And it was very popular at times, and not so active at other times, but it had been a handful of years since it had really been active and almost nobody was using it. So I decided just to focus on moving the LRS community just to the Discord, which has been around for about 5.5 years now, the LRS Discord server. So we just moved platforms from the private website um, to the Discord server. So if you wanted to be involved in the Novus, or sorry, if you wanted to be involved in the Luciferian Research Society, you don't have to be a member of the order. You can be a member of another order. Like we have a lot of members who are in the Order of Phosphorus. We have a bunch of people who are in Temple of Ascending Flame. We have a bunch of people that are in the Sect of the Horned God. We have a couple people, we have a handful of people that are in the Temple of Set, for example. We have people from all kinds of different branches of Luciferianism and the left hand path and occultism in general, and a bunch of people who aren't members of orders at all, just solo practitioners. And they all share space with one another. They cross pollinate ideas, bounce ideas off each other, and share in a wider community. And it's beautiful. It's great. And there have been um, conferences that I've produced, which I call Flambeau Noir. And these are like an extension of that same cross pollination, crossroads meeting space that the Luciferian Research Society represents, but in the real world. And I did one. The first one I did was in 2012 in Toronto. I produced that. That was the very first International Left Hand Path conference that wasn't specifically for one particular order, where you had to be a member of that particular order to attend that conference. I did the first International Left Hand Path conference in general, where people from all different branches of the left hand path could come and partake in the prepared lectures and other events, art shows, and things like that. And at first, I didn't call it Flambeau Noir, but um, one of the people that I helped produce an event for tried to, or ended up doing their own thing, which is fine, but they used a confusingly similar name to what I was doing. And people kept asking me about it, and I was like, I don't have anything to do with it. And they're like, what? And I'm like, no, no, it's like a few letters off. And they're like, oh, okay. And then so I just was like, you know what, I'm going to create a distinctive name for it so that people don't keep confusing it with this other one that was independent of me. And so I called it Flambeau Noir, which means black torch in French. And if you check out my most recent live stream, which was titled, I believe it's titled "It's Finished," Luciferian Research Society website. And I'm talking about the transition from the website to fully over to the Discord, and not having both anymore, just having the Discord. And I talk about Flambeau Noir in that as well. So if you want to get more of the story there and more of how that has kind of taken place, then I would highly recommend checking out that most recent live stream before this one. And I get into a lot of that detail. But, anyways, to make a long story not quite as long, there is a public Discord server that is completely free to join, and I highly encourage everybody here to join it if you haven't already. And I don't think I have a link to it in the description of this video. Maybe I do. But if it's not in there, then it's in one of my most recent YouTube shorts. So if you go into my channel and check out my YouTube shorts, short videos, in the description of the video and often in the first comment, you'll see a few links. And in one of the more recent ones, I've definitely put a link to join the LRS Discord in there. And that's a free public one. If you want to be part of the wider community, then highly recommended. There's about 600 people in there now that are registered members, and there are people talking every day about esoteric subjects. There's a lot of people talking about different um, actually, I think a bunch of people were talking about crystals that they had. They're and showing pictures of the different collections of crystals, crystal skulls, different things that were carved out of crystal. That's not something that often gets talked about in the Discord, but all kinds of different subjects come up. The Qliphoth, um, you know, different entities like Belial, people who've worked with different entities will share their experience. We have of, people talking about their dreams that they've had and their progress in achieving lucid dreaming. And there are channels within the LRS Discord to talk about different orders as well. So if you're interested in learning about what each of the different orders that are explicitly Luciferian or very similar, we have channels to talk about those different orders. It's not going to be like private inner order material. It's a, but it's talking. It gives you an idea of what's going on in those orders, what they teach, and some of the public teachings that they have shared. You can talk about in those channels. But yeah, so there's two Discord servers I run, that public LRS Discord server as well as a private Discord server just for members of the Novus Ordo Luciferi, or New Order of Light Bearers. And to join the private Discord server, you have to join the NOL, which you do through the website, the novusorderluciferi.org website in the description, and you'll sign up via Patreon. And that'll unlock the entire course catalog on the NOL website because we have integration. Our web developer created a custom tool that allows you to log into the NOL website with your Patreon account And if you are a subscriber at the $5 tier or above, it'll unlock every single course that's there. And like I said, there's 13 courses available now. And that's over 40 hours worth of embedded video lessons within the different course modules. It's a full professional learning platform built into the website, um, where you can go through the different courses. And as you complete each module, you can mark it as complete. You'll get a progress bar, all that. You can leave comments on the different course modules as well. It's pretty impressive, and I'm super excited that we have this available to members. And as I was saying, I want to, in year 13, which we have recently entered into of the new Luciferian era, I want to expand that course catalog. I have some ideas for courses that I would like to teach. There are some members of the order who have approached me about teaching some courses of their own, some lessons of their own, which will be added to the course catalog for members as well. So I'm really excited about that. There are a couple that I'm particularly excited about. Um, that is one of the things that I would like to accomplish in year 13, is to expand the course catalog of the Novus Ordo Luciferi considerably. And so yeah, what we do, we teach it live to members, and those live lessons are recorded and then turned into course modules on the website. So if you are a member at the time, you and if you have the availability, you can attend those live sessions and get and have that interaction directly as it's being taught. You can ask questions. You can be like, "Oh, hold on. What did you mean when you said that thing?" Or you said this, but what does that exactly mean? Does that mean this or this, or does it mean that? And you can have that interaction, and that'll be recorded. That'll be part of the recording, and it'll be in the course module. So if one person had a question like that, then, often other people were also wondering that same thing. And so it's good to have that interaction with people who are there live, learning, getting that lesson live, but also we create that archived video, which gets turned into the online course in the learning platform on the NOL website. So I'd like to expand that course catalog quite considerably with courses that I'm teaching, as well as guest teachers, as well as teachers who are members of the order. So I think that that would be great. Currently, I teach most of the courses in the course catalog, but we do have some of them being taught or co-taught with other people as well. So that's one of the things I'd like to accomplish in year 13. Another thing that I'd like to do is to introduce the degree certificates for the order. So this is something that I'm is a high priority for me, is that uh, that there is a degree system within the order, and there are documents that explain this progression, this basic um, degree system that we have set up now already, but I want to expand on it and elaborate these degrees to the and integrate it with this course catalog. So what I envision is that for each degree of the order, you have certain courses within the course catalog that you will have to complete. as well as a handful of other certain tasks or accomplishments you have to meet, such as performing the self initiation rite, writing a couple reports on certain things. That's that kind of thing, certain tasks. And once you've accomplished those tasks and completed certain courses, then you can apply for recognition to a degree in the order. And it will begin, you have to get them in order, in sequence. But this, I wanted to stress that it's optional. So you get access to the entire course catalog. You get access to all of the teachings, all the documents of the teachings and practices of the order right off the bat when you join. But there's so much material that a lot of people feel kind of overwhelmed with it. They're not sure where to start and what sequence that they should take the courses in or do the practices in and that sort of thing. What's the most logical progression? And so this degree system helps create that logical progression that you can work through in a systematic way to learn the system of occultism taught by the NOL, which is called Luciferian alchemy. And as you go through, you can get recognition as having accomplished that initial degree, and then the next degree, and the next degree after that, including certificates that go with that. So that's something that I've been working on, and I'd like to get that fully up and running in year 13 of the new Luciferian era. Um, there are a couple initiatives that I'd like to launch for the order as well. And the two in particular that I have in mind that I really would like to get going in year 13, I have a handful of them that I've got a huge vision for this. I've got a massive vision for the Novus Ordo Lucifera that goes literally decades into the future, but and like steps. And I've got a lot of, I got a huge vision for this, and I think that there's a massive potential to build this out into an amazing system with, uh, trust me, I've got a vision for this that goes out decades. Um, but for now, there are a couple initiatives that I'd like to establish in this year that we're about to that we've just embarked on. What time is it, anyways? We got 5 minutes until the secular New Year. Um, so let me get into the first one, and this is the most important one to get started with. And I've already done a little bit of this, but um, this will take it to another level. And the idea behind this, the vision behind this initiative for the order, is a decentralized blue zone. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that term, blue zone. Let me just drink some water here. The term blue zone refers to a geographical area in which you have an above average number of centenarians, people who have reached the age of 100 years old or older. And so a blue zone would be like, I think like Okinawa, Japan, for example. and there is like a couple of them in like the Mediterranean area of the world, and there are a handful of these scattered around the world where you have a statistically significant above average number of people who have lived to be at least 100 years old. And there are people who have studied these blue zones, these areas where you have a lot of people that have experienced longevity, that they've lived to be at least 100 years or older. And they have tried to identify certain overlapping characteristics. So you're like, well, if we compare these different blue zones, we can say, okay, what are the common things between them? What can we learn from these things? What like, and not people a lot of times focus on diet when they're studying these things, but that's not the only thing. There is lifestyle, which is a huge thing as well. Different mindsets as well, like a certain sense of meaning that is common in a lot of these blue zones. And what I would like to do is an initiative to foster a decentralized blue zone amongst members of the order. So, this is the idea that we don't necessarily have to be living in the same geographical area, but we have embarked on this initiative to try and achieve longevity, to try and produce more people that are living to age 100 or above than normal. So, for example, if you were to have a lot of Luciferians living past 100, and people would start to notice, they'd be like, well, what's going on here? A lot of people who have decided to be Luciferians and are practicing Luciferianism, there are a lot of them that have hit 100 or older. That's basically what I'm talking about, is a decentralized blue zone of Luciferians within the Luciferian community. And looks like we are at 1 minute to go before the new year. Let's do a bit of a countdown here. Let me check to see what the time is here. If I can get a clock. Maybe I can get a clock going here. Oh, it just turned. It just turned. You know what? Let's do a countdown anyway. Let's pretend. So, okay, here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! um, oh, it's funny. One of the comments here is it's not even 9 here yet. So you've got a few hours to go. Somebody else mentioned that it's 11 p.m. where they are. Um, but yeah, where I am right now, we just hit midnight. So we are in 2026 of the Common Era now, in where I am at least. And I know everybody's in different time zones. But I wish you all a happy new year wherever you happen to be. The comments are great. Um, yeah, so happy new year, everyone. What are your intentions for the year? And you know what? I see on social media, in my friends list and elsewhere, people kind of dunking on the idea of New Year's resolutions. And I can see why. A lot of times there's like statistics talking about how quickly these resolutions get abandoned. But I still think it's valuable to take a moment and set goals, to evaluate where you are and to decide where do I want to be in a year from now and further, and what steps do I think that I can reasonably accomplish or slightly beyond maybe what I think I might be able to accomplish, and set those goals. And this is a time of year where a lot of people do that, and it makes sense. It makes sense to me, anyways, and I think that it's very valuable practice. And of course, it's valuable to do it any time of year, but traditionally, this is a time of year when people really get into that mindset. So, might as well embrace that um, egregore, you could say, that thought form, that wave, you know, ride that wave and go ahead and set your intentions, set your goals. So for me, like I said, I want to expand the course catalog for the NOL. I want to uh, more fully establish that degree system and certificates for the different degrees within the order to help create that structure so people can progress through the material and learn Luciferian alchemy in a systematic way. Of course, optional, but and then there are a couple initiatives that I'd like to really spend time launching within the order. Another one that I forgot to mention before I get into the initiatives, and I did mention it a little bit earlier, but establishing local branches. I'd like to get a handful of local branches regularly meeting in their local area. We have we have some proto lodges that are kind of forming in different areas. We refer to them as obelisks and towers, but we don't have anything really solid and stable yet. But we have had some meetings in different areas, and we have the beginnings of this. We have some momentum building in that, but I'd like to get some stability. I'd like to get some solid branches going where there are regular meetings happening. So that is one of the other things that I'd like to get accomplished in year 13. But back to this longevity initiative. Um, I want to foster and encourage the development of this decentralized blue zone within the Luciferian community, and in particular within the members of the Novus Ordo Luciferi. And to that end, I've already started on this actually, but I didn't refer to it as a decentralized blue zone initiative or a decentralized Luciferian blue zone. But there is a PDF document that I created. I think it's about 14 pages long, and it is called Longevity Foundations. And initially, I had written it as a guide for members of the order, of the Novus Ordo Luciferi, to complement their more esoteric practices in Luciferian alchemy, which should encourage the manifestation of longevity in their lives, by freeing up stagnant energy, um, resolving blockages of energy, shadow work, alchemical work, manifesting the quintessence within the self, even physical plant alchemy, lab work. There's a course on that as well. Um, so these esoteric practices should help um, facilitate longevity within the individual practitioner from that esoteric perspective, from that working from the esoteric side, the more spiritual side of things. But what I wanted to do was create this a workbook or a document that would help create for to complement that work with taking things from the physical side. So, if you wanted to establish a healthy lifestyle that will help encourage or facilitate you reaching a long life, then this document was intended to be a complement to the Luciferian alchemy practices taught within the order, where if you can create a situation in which your body and mind are healthier in general, that's going to improve your magic and it's going to help you achieve longevity. So you're going to be able to live longer, hopefully. I mean, of course, accidents happen, unforeseen things happen, of course. That's always going to be the case. But there's a lot of things we can do to encourage longevity. And this guide called Longevity Foundations is that guide that helps you establish healthy lifestyle habits. Um, it doesn't go super deep, but it gives you that initial foundation, a starting place. And it gets into things um, like diet, exercise, sleep hygiene, so you can getting proper sleep, um, supplements, certain superfoods that you should um, consider taking advantage of. Gut microbiome, has a bunch of these things in it. And like I said, I wrote it for members of the order to complement their practice of Luciferian alchemy. But once I completed it, I realized that it was too valuable just to keep within the order. And I had a handful of healthcare practitioners in different modalities look it over before I released it, and I made a few adjustments based on their feedback, and and then I put it out there for free download, so you can actually download this document for free yourself. If you go to the Novus Ordo Luciferi Patreon account, and I think there's a link in the description. If not, go to the novusordoluciferi.org website and go to the homepage, and there's a link to the Patreon there. And go and do a search of posts and look up longevity, and you'll find a public post. It's not paywalled behind any tier of membership, but it's completely free to the public, open to the public. You can uh, go into that post, and attached to that post is the PDF document called Longevity Foundations. Like I said, I think it's about 14 pages, and you can download that for free. without becoming a member. And you can take advantage of that material, that knowledge to improve your health and well being and hopefully increase your health span as well as your lifespan. And like I said, I'd like to encourage the development of a decentralized Luciferian blue zone, not just within the Novus Ordo Luciferi, but that is, where that's where I'm putting my focus in terms of teaching. And so the initiative will be within that order. And again, optional, but very beneficial if you take advantage um, of the material that's available, which right now most of it is public, like that found Longevity Foundation's document. But we're coming at it from multiple angles. So there is the physical dimension, which that document uh, gives a really good start for. There is the alchemy side of things where we're doing energy work, shadow work, mental disciplines, and that sort of thing in order to um, free up energy and develop healthy mindset and mental health. Um, then there's also the lucid dreaming part, which comes at it from a different angle altogether. So if you think about it, every night we spend roughly 6 to 8 hours asleep. A good chunk of that is spent dreaming. And for most people, most of the time, those dreams are not lucid. We are, basically we find ourselves within a dream. Usually it's just a narrative already in process, and we just roll with it and we just accept it and get caught up in that narrative in a non-lucid way, in an unconscious way, and we just kind of go along, get swept along by the narrative. Often we even forget the dream when we've woken. So that's a lot of time. Just think of it. Even if it is a third of the time we spend sleeping, let's say, um, let's say 6 hours a night you sleep. Let's just say, let's be conservative and say you don't get a lot of sleep or you don't get the full 8 hours. Let's say you sleep 6 hours. And let's say only a third of that is spent dreaming. That's still 2 hours a night that you are losing out on, where you're dreaming, but you don't remember it in the morning. Or even if you do remember it, it was just a non lucid dream that you just kind of got caught up in the narrative of, and that's that. Now we can recover time within our lifetime without even having to extend our physical life to longer number of years, where we can reclaim lost time within ourselves. So that 2 hours every night of dreaming, for one thing, we can start remembering it. That right there recovers that time because we can then interpret those dreams while we're awake if we feel like it. We can simply just have the memory of those experiences, to start with. That alone is valuable to have those dream memories. Um, but then we can analyze the dreams symbolically and we can gain insight into ourselves through that. But even more when we can achieve lucidity within the dream. And lucidity within a dream literally means to be aware that you're dreaming while you're dreaming, while you're in that dream, then you can actually act consciously, intentionally, with the knowledge that you are having a dream. So you're in the dream, you know it's a dream, and you don't wake up immediately. You're still in the dream, experiencing the dream with that knowledge, that lucidity that you're dreaming. And it takes on a whole new dimension. So you can consciously act for that extra 2 hours a night if you can lucid dream during those 2 hours. And it adds up. I mean, could you imagine if you had 2 extra hours in a day for certain types of activity? You know, let's say even just mental and or emotional work that you can do, accomplish. But there is a lot of studying that says that we can practice physical tasks and physical skills during lucid dreams, and it directly results in improvement of that skill when you're awake too. So like if you practice a musical instrument, you can practice the skills that you learned while you're awake in your lucid dream. You can practice them, and it develops the neural pathways within your brain and your nervous system, so that when you wake up and you try and do it again, you will have improved because of doing that in the lucid dream. So just imagine the possibilities of what you could accomplish if you had an extra effective 2 hours in a day to accomplish things. Not only that, but you can do things like meditation during a lucid dream. And according to Tibetan Buddhist tradition, at least, meditation within a dream, within a lucid dream, is worth about 10 times the value you're going to get out of that practice compared to doing it for the same amount of time during a waking experience. So let's say you spend 10 minutes while meditating while you're in a lucid dream. Well, that's worth more like an hour to an hour and a half or even more, if you compared to doing it while you're awake. So to get the same value out of it, in other words, to get the same value out of meditating for 10 minutes in a lucid dream, you'd have to do about 100 minutes of meditation, which is over an hour and a half, in your waking experience to get the same benefit from that meditation. So not only are you getting that extra 2 hours, but it's a more effective 2 hours depending on what you're doing with it. So that is a way to create longevity in a sense by having more effective hours in a day. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of different ways that we can kind of approach this. Now, as that's the main initiative, the decentralized Luciferian Blue Zone initiative. And as part of that, as a secondary initiative, which can be done completely separate if you want, but it ties in, is a language initiative. And I don't have a fancy name for it yet, but this initiative would be for all the members of the order, of the Novus Ordo Luciferi, to voluntarily, if they want to participate in this initiative, to register which languages that they currently know and to what level. Like there's this internationally recognized categorization which starts at A1 and goes up to I think like C3 or something, which is like extremely fluent. A1 is beginner level, and I kind of say there's also A0. Happy New Year's in New York. Oh wait, yeah, New York is the same time zone as me. Sorry, I thought another hour had passed. Um, but yeah, Happy New Year to everybody who's on here. Um, okay, so this language initiative, this language sharing initiative, maybe it could be called something like Tower of Babel initiative or something like that. But the idea is that people who want to participate in this language initiative would register. Okay, let's say, okay, I know English at level C2, let's say, because I'm a native speak, and you could put native speaker English. And you could say I'm probably at maybe like a C2 level. Maybe not like, I don't know, like every word, but I know like a lot of words, and grammar points and things like that. I'm really, really fluent in it, but maybe not all of the crazy words. That would be C3, I guess. So let's just say, for example, the member registers and they say, okay, English C2 level, native level speaker, fluent, very fluent. And then they could be like, but I also know some French. Maybe I know like, maybe I'm A1 in French, where I can carry on very simple conversations. I can introduce myself. I can, order at a restaurant. I could get directions to a place, and I could kind of follow really simple conversations if the person is talking slowly and clearly. A1 level, you know, and then they can be like, and Spanish A0. I'm complete beginner. I don't know anything about it whatsoever, but I want to learn it, you know? And they can be like a wish list, languages that I really want to learn, and priorities of which languages I really want to learn and which ones, I kind of am interested in, but not super high priority, right? So you get this database of members, what languages they do know, how fluent they are in them, and what languages they want to learn, and then set up language guilds essentially for different languages, and hook people up who are very fluent in different languages with people who want to learn those languages or who want to practice those languages. And then they can have regular sessions, maybe even like an hour once a month if that's what they have available. Or it'd be better if they did more, but maybe they don't have that time. But we would set up sessions where people can meet with each other in video conferencing software, that they can do language exchange. They can share their language with the people that want to learn those languages, and then they can join ones that that are being taught languages that they want to learn as well. And so the members themselves can form this language sharing network, essentially. And we can also set up translations. So we can do translations as um, some of the tasks that members can do in order to practice their language skills. And this facilitates the sharing of knowledge even further. So we can do internal order documents, for example, teachings and practices can be translated into other languages for members who may come in that have different, maybe their native language that they are more fluent in isn't English. Maybe it's German, maybe it's Swahili, or maybe it's Korean, you know? And so we can have these order documents translated into these other languages that maybe they're more comfortable with. And not only order documents, but documents that would be of interest to members. So potentially old grimoires, um, you know, ancient texts, that sort of thing, um, public domain documents, things like that. Yeah, Norwegian, Indonesian, all these different languages are out there, and there are people who are fluent in them. And it's like reversing the curse of the Tower of Babel that has fallen. You know, if you are a Gnostic, then that story of the Tower of Babel is like you had humanity come together, uniting and building this glorious structure, this tower that was to reach up into the heavens. And the demiurge was like, I don't like that. You're getting too big for your britches. I don't want you having that much amount of power. I don't want you to be united. I want you all to be divided. And the more division I can sow within humanity, the harder it will be for you to rebel against me, right? And so the demiurge, blasts the tower and creates division amongst the different languages. So all the different people all were speaking different languages, and they couldn't communicate properly with one another or effectively with one another. And therefore, they couldn't rebel as easily because it was harder for them to unite. So symbolically, I think that this is on brand. It is like a reversal of that. It's like taking lemons and making lemonade. It's like, oh yeah, you want to create all these diverse languages? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to learn multiple languages. We're going to become multilingual, and we're going to unite across cultures, across languages, and breach that language barrier and create bridges and unite the community even deeper and allow the cross pollination of knowledge to have less boundaries, right? To become light bearers in that sense by facilitating communication amongst wider circles. And it's like saying, and culturally enriching one another through learning one another's culture, through learning different languages, different ways of forming thoughts, even. And I think that that's completely on brand. Now, it ties into this longevity initiative by the effect that multilingualism has on the mind and the physical body itself. It helps develop resilience in the physical brain and nervous system of the body. So, for example, studies have been done showing that people who know two or more languages are developing the symptoms of dementia 3 to 4 years later than monolingual individuals. And that's also the same with Alzheimer's. So it can delay the onset of Alzheimer's symptoms by years. But imagine having an extra 2, 3 years of lucidity, coherence, uh, clear thought to spend with your family, with your loved ones, to be a light bearer in the world, to do your projects. Imagine if Nikola Tesla had an extra 2 years. Imagine any of these individuals out there, if they had an extra 2 years, what they could have accomplished with that. So that alone is ties it in with the longevity initiative, the decentralized Luciferian Blue Zone initiative, but it's valuable in its own right as well. Also, the resilience that it develops in the brain, it actually changes the physical structure of your brain. So you have more folds and complexity, a more diverse network of connected synapses in the brain and nervous system in general. And then if you do end up getting something like a traumatic brain injury, you are able to bounce back from that quicker than a monolingual individual, somebody who only knows one language. And you don't even have to be fluent in your second language or third language. Um, the very process of trying to learn that language creates the effect, creates the benefit in the brain, the physical resilience of your brain. It just the very act of trying to acquire a second or third language improves your brain resilience and boosts cognitive abilities in general. So I think that that's really valuable. I've got a handful of other initiatives that I would like to see, which are kind of along those same lines, but um, I'm not. If we get to it in year 13 of the new Luciferian era or 2026 common era, then sure. But I feel like if we can get those two initiatives going, then I'd be really happy this year. The so to recap, what I'd like to see happen with the order this year is I'd like to expand the course catalog as by a lot of extra courses. I would like to establish the degree system um, in a more solid way, in a more operative way, I should say. Um, I want to get the local branches. I want to get a handful of them to be not just budding, kind of trying things out. I want to get a bit more stability in regular local branches having meetings regularly. So that's three things. And then the two initiatives, the decentralized Luciferian Blue Zone initiative for longevity within the Luciferian community, and the language sharing initiative. So those five things are what I really intend to focus on in year 13 of the new Luciferian era. What do you guys think? Are those worthy initiatives, worthy intentions? Do you guys have your intentions? I'd love to hear them. And leave it in the comments of this video. I'm gonna wrap it up here. It is 12:35 p.m. or sorry a.m. on New Year's Day in the very early hours of the morning, and I'm gonna shut down this live stream now. But then immediately after, I'm going to open up a private hangout for Novus Ordo Luciferi members. If you are a member of the NOL, or if you want to join now, go to the website description, link in the description, and you can get that meeting link for the private hangout that we're going to have in just a few minutes here when I end the live stream. And that's just for NOL members, and we can hang out and chat about whatever we want. And if you have any questions about the courses you've been going through or any of the practices, or if you just feel like sharing some uh, conversation and fellowship with the other members, then join the meeting. Link is in both the Discord server as well as in the most recent post on the Patreon. And until next time, everyone, stay lucid and Happy New Year.